55 days ago, I received the invitation to be your speaker today. I pinched myself then, and as I stand in front of all of you on this beautiful spring morning, I feel as though I must pinch myself again. I am not an elected official. I've never served in the armed forces. I'm not famous in any way. What I am is a public school teacher. When my 9-year-old daughter, thank you. When my 9-year-old daughter, Emma, found out about the invitation to be one of your speakers today, she asked, "Daddy, couldn't they get somebody important to give a speech?" Clearly, she had been talking to my wife again. Once I convinced her that neither Taylor Swift nor Justin Bieber were available, she decided that I was a decent selection. I don't mean to belittle my own profession. Dealing with teenagers on a daily basis can try the soul of any man. Amen. Especially this part of the year. But it cannot compare to the suffering of those we gather to memorialize. The reason the invitation to speak with you today means so very much to me is because I'm an unabashed, bleeding heart American romantic when it comes to this nation and its ideals. And I believe with my whole heart that the creation of the United States of America is one of the greatest things to ever happen in human history itself.
Amen.
For America is more than its borders, more than its resources. America is even more than its people. America is an idea of what can happen when we unite the great reservoir of human potential with the ideal of individual human freedom. As a lifelong teacher of American politics, what I know is that the American dream is not a lie, it is not a sham, it is not a naive optimism of men from a bygone era. The American dream is not for some people. The American dream is for everybody. Rich and poor, black and white, for those whose forefathers came across on the Mayflower 400 years ago, to those who crossed the Rio Grande just yesterday. The idea that America is unique, that things can happen here that cannot happen anywhere else, that idea is littered throughout our history. In the Federalist Papers, Hamilton writes of a new science of politics. Lincoln speaks of the last best hope of earth. On the back of the $1 bill, under the Masonic eye, is the Latin phrase, Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages. When I asked my older brother, who is a proud member of the Army Airborne and sitting right here today, for advice on what to say today, he said something very wise, which he doesn't always do. He said, "Don't confuse Memorial Day with Veterans Day. Obviously, Memorial Day ought to begin and end with our noble vets, but as my brother said, let us remember those who didn't just suffer those losses in a battlefield, but those who suffered those losses at home." As my brother said, a meaningful memorial colors in the contours of that sacrifice. Yes, we have lost husbands and fathers and wives. Let us also remember the daughters, forced to walk down a wedding aisle with nobody by their side. Let us recall the sons who had nobody to throw the baseball to. Let us remember the mothers who never became grandmothers. Let us remember friends forced to speak at funerals. Let us remember citizens who are now allowed to taste every flavor on the vast palette of human possibilities. And let us not dishonor their memory today by pretending to know what they thought or what they felt as they lay dying in battlefields across the world, in trenches, on aircrafts, on aircraft carriers. They probably were not thinking about Thomas Jefferson or the Constitution. There are not enough sunsets, symphonies, and sonnets in the universe to describe what they sacrificed for us. We all know that our veterans saved America, but what we forget is that they did something even nobler. They made America forever worthy of being saved.
Amen.
Or as others have phrased it, consider what would have been the consequences to all that we hold dear if those who sleep beneath our feet had failed on their memorable days. We owe it to our veterans not just to remember them, but to live lives every day that are worthy of them. The many blessings of this nation emanate from a place in the human spirit that does not deny their wounds, but instead makes use of them to forge and craft a better world for ourselves and for all our posterity. We do that today by remembering, by honoring, by memorializing. As John Adams once said, "I study war and politics so that my sons may study art and philosophy." Behind every American success story, there are countless stories that we will never hear, that will forever remain shrouded in the currency of human suffering. These are the stories that give America its heartbeat, its life force, its national palpitation. Our civic responsibility isn't something we give to be fashionable or to put on a resume. It is something we give for every man and woman who couldn't contribute to their community for themselves. Their stories become our stories. For in America, justice is not a chance. Justice is a child born of a million sacrifices. So today, for every child who reaches higher, for every dream that is achieved, for every baseball game and barbecue, let us stop. And let us listen. Because if we can do that today, then perhaps, just perhaps, we will hear an echo from Lexington and Concord, a voice from Gettysburg, a reminder from Fallujah that freedom is not free, that freedom is the exception and not the rule of human history, and that whatever we have, all of us here today in this life, whatever we have, has been delivered through the crucible of sacrifice. In conclusion, my brother also gave me a poem, or actually it's a song, and the first stanza reads as follows. Kneel where our loves are sleeping, dear ones' days gone by. Here we bow in holy reverence, our bosoms heave the heartfelt sigh. They fell like brave men true as steel, and poured their blood like rain. We feel we owe them all we have, and can but weep and kneel again. On this day, let us weep and kneel again.